PA Patel here at Tustin Longevity Center. Today I wanted to share a story about one of my patients. So this patient, she's a female patient in her late 30s. She came to me about 1 year ago with the chief complaint of fatigue. She was feeling really tired every day. She was getting, it was getting harder and harder for her to take care of her kids that she homeschooled. She was also getting sick a lot, so she was suffering from allergies and chronic sinus infections. She said she was getting sick almost every month, and she was also complaining of weight gain. So she wasn't doing anything differently in regards to exercise and diet, but she was putting on weight. She wasn't really exercising either, so that wasn't helping. But anyways, as I questioned her further, she mentioned that she was having symptoms of indigestion, of bloating, of heartburn, and acid reflux. And her bowel movements were also not every day either. She was going to the bathroom maybe every other day, every 2 days. So she did have symptoms of constipation as well. On physical exam, there was no significant findings. She didn't have an enlarged or inflamed thyroid, swollen thyroid, or anything like that. At the end of our visit, we talked about what we're going to start doing differently and what supplements we'll add in. And I did advise her to start intermittent fasting and start a simple rotational dietary plan. So the rotation diet is basically where you don't eat the same foods every day, maybe have like a 3 or 4 day set menu and rotate through that. So I explained that to her, and then also with the intermittent fasting, I explained that, well, the technical term for intermittent fasting is time-restricted eating. So time-restricted eating is basically where you want to restrict the amount of time that you're eating throughout the day. So you only want to eat in an 8-hour window of time, maybe like 6 to 8 hours. And then the rest of the time, 16 hours, 16 to 18 hours, you're ideally only drinking water. So this restricts when you're eating, but you also want to restrict what you're eating. That's going to make a huge difference. So I did explain that you want to be eating organic meats, proteins, fish, green leafy vegetables, and you want to cook these things in saturated healthy fats, so things like coconut oil, butter, using avocado oil, olive oil, eating avocados, and really limiting the carbohydrates and grains and processed foods. I also started her on digestive enzymes to help with her indigestion and her bloating. She'll take those with meals, and then Juice Plus and vitamin C to help really boost her antioxidant levels to help fight off those chronic infections or sinus infections and illness that she was getting, the colds that she was getting so often. And then she got her labs done, and when she came back to review the labs, we discovered that she does have Hashimoto's thyroiditis. So Hashimoto's is a cause for hypothyroidism, which means basically hypothyroidism means that you have a low functioning thyroid. So it's suboptimal and not functioning optimally. And her TSH level was significantly elevated. It was at 15. We like to see this generally below 2. And her free T3 was in a normal range, but her free T4 was very low. So those 3 markers are good markers to tell us how the thyroid is actually functioning. And then we check 2 markers for the antibodies, the TPO and thyroglobulin antibodies. For her, both of those were significantly elevated. The thyroglobulin antibodies were in the hundreds, and we like that below 40. And the TPO antibodies were high in the 500s, and we like that below 60. So the elevated antibodies are a sign, they confirm that Hashimoto's is kind of what's happening there. And basically these antibodies that get produced, they slowly destroy thyroid tissue. So the tissue of your thyroid gland over time gets destroyed by the antibodies, and then slowly over time your thyroid function starts to decrease as well. So the antibodies that are being produced, those are a sign of autoimmune condition of Hashimoto's. And the thyroid gland, we need a really well functioning thyroid gland because the thyroid hormone is so important for different types of metabolic functions all over the body, including things like your energy levels, your bowel movements, cholesterol, balancing cholesterol and balancing other hormones out. Helps your mood, it helps your body temperature, it helps your heart rate. So there's a lot of things that play, the thyroid plays a major role in all of these things, so it is important to have a healthy thyroid. And a few other labs that were off were she was deficient in vitamin D, and then her triglyceride levels were also high, her fasting sugar was also high, so that tells me she was having too many carbs and sugars. And then we also did specialty testing to look at food sensitivities and her micronutrient panel. There were more than 30 food sensitivities that were found, and so that is a sign of leaky gut, which leaky gut itself can often lead to autoimmune conditions, and so we really wanted to tackle that. Basically, the food sensitivity test shows us what foods your body is producing antibodies against. So what foods are you eating that your immune system is reacting to? And often these foods can be things that we're eating a lot of, so that's why we recommend a rotational diet, because this way your body doesn't produce antibodies against the food. But also there's going to be highly inflammatory foods that show up on this test result as well. Things like yeast, brewers and bakers yeast, basically found in all alcohols and breads and bakery items, eggs, wheat and gluten, soy, cow's milk. So those are things that most of us will benefit from avoiding anyways. So a lot of those foods came up, so 30 foods came up, and then with her micronutrient analysis, there was several nutrient deficiencies as well, including several vitamins, B vitamins, zinc, glutathione, vitamin C, which are powerful antioxidants. So we did recommend all of these to start. We did recommend supplementation to help all of these deficiencies, and I also started her on glutamine and probiotics, and then she had those digestive enzymes that we started at the first visit. So she continued with these 3 things to help with healing the gut lining. And of course, she was started on the glandular thyroid hormone to help with the functioning of her thyroid. And then, of course, you want to avoid those food sensitivities, introduce gut healing foods to your diet, things like bone broth, fermented foods, and then remove unhealthy, processed toxic foods, and to make sure your diet is full of anti-inflammatory foods, whole foods, organic. And so fast forward 1 year, and we're here now, and she's feeling great. Has a lot of energy. She's running after her kids. She says that she's doing much better. Her bowel movements are every day, regular, and she doesn't have any indigestion, and she has not suffered from a cold or a sinus infection. She says that she feels her allergy symptoms a little bit when she eats some of those foods that came up on her food sensitivity list, especially the alcohol. So the brewer's yeast really was getting to her, so she's been just avoiding drinking as well. She's been really diligent with the dietary plan and she's consistent with taking her supplements. And she was also, taking the thyroid hormone. Her thyroid antibodies have also decreased significantly. So over the course of the year, her TPO is now in the 200s. Before it was in the high 500s. So it's more than half reduction. And then the thyroglobulin is now in the 40s, and we like it below 40, so she's getting close to normal. She was in the hundreds before. So that's great. And her thyroid function also normalized as well, her being on the thyroid hormone. So in conclusion, we can really learn how our how important our gut health is. Just by focusing in on this one case, I really wanted to focus in on the dietary aspect of it, how she just made changes to her diet and she focused in on those food sensitivities and taking those supplements and correcting nutrient deficiencies, and it really made a big difference for her. There's other things we go into as well. We look at all the other factors like sleep and stress management and exercise and water intake. All of these things really matter. So we do talk about all of these things, but I wanted to focus in on the diet and how important our gut health is. So we do definitely need to pay much more closer attention to the foods that we're eating, and make sure they're clean and whole foods, and really try to avoid those processed junk foods. Anyways, next week, on October 10th, I will be leading our next TLC monthly seminar, and it's going to be all about the importance of gut health. So if you guys want to learn more, definitely check that out. If you're listening to this after the fact, you can find a link to the seminar either on our website, or if you go onto YouTube and search Tustin Longevity Center, you should be able to find it there as well. So I look forward to seeing you guys then. All right, take care. Thanks for listening. Bye.